In the deepest shadows of the Jedi archives, locked behind meditation seals and erased from all historical records, there is a story. A story almost no one in the galaxy has ever heard. It begins with a duel so powerful, so dangerous, that even thousands of years later, its aftershocks still echo in the Force. A duel involving Master Yoda and a Sith Lord, whose name was scraped off every scroll and every living memory. Tonight, we uncover the hidden duel that shaped the fate of the galaxy long before Anakin Skywalker was ever born. Welcome back to the quiet corners of the Force. Theory 1, the lost mission before the Clone Wars. According to whispers buried in the temple's restricted vaults, Yoda was once sent on a secret mission, a mission so classified that even the High Council wasn't fully briefed. This mission took place 13 years before the Phantom Menace. Yoda sensed something ancient, something awakening, a presence in the Force that felt colder, older, and far more patient than even Darth Plagueis. This dark presence was described in one forbidden commentary simply as the echo that watches. Not a name, not a title, a warning, theory to the Sith Lord, who shouldn't exist. Long before Bane founded the Rule of Two, the Sith had splinter orders, rogue philosophers, exiles, and mystics. But there was one sect that even the Sith feared, a sect built around a single master, a master known only through fragmented clues. Crimson Mask, carved from meteoric Stonian ancient staff believed to hold a kyber crystal of unknown color and a force ability so rare that Yoda himself once doubted it was real. This forgotten Sith's rumored power. Chronoperception, the ability to sense future timelines as they form. Not prediction, not foresight, but awareness of the currents of destiny while they change. This would make them the most dangerous Sith in history, because they could always be one step ahead. Theory 3. Yoda's silent journey to the Outer Rim. The Jedi believed this. Ancient Sith had died out centuries ago, but Yoda felt something stirring in the Outer Rim. A tremor so precise and so intentional that it felt like a messer challenge. So Yoda left alone. No clones, no pilots, no council. Oversight and, according to one reconstructed mission log, the Grand Master departs not as the hunted, but as the summoned. Yoda wasn't tracking the Sith was calling him. Theory 4. The world outside of time. Every legend points to one forgotten planet, a world that appears on no star chart, no Republic map, and no Sith archive. A planet described as silent storm wrap, orbiting nothing, approached only through instinct. Not navigation, some force. Mystics believed this planet existed between time, slipping between past and future like a drifting dream. Here, the veil between moments was thin, and on this world, Yoda felt it, a heartbeat in the Force that wasn't the planet's, but someone waiting for him. Theory 5. The duel begins. Before they meet, the ATED. The Force compressed, like a collapsing star, and Yoda realized something chilling. The Sith was already inside his thoughts, not controlling, not invading, but mirroring his awareness, as if the dark side had been studying him for decades. The duel began long before their sabers ignited. Began with the Force itself bending around them to minds. 2. Futures got colliding. Theory 6. The Sith appears when the figure finally emerged from the storm. Yoda saw what no Jedi had witnessed in centuries, a Sith with no hatred in their aura, no rage, no hunger, no ambition, just calm, focused intent, as if the duel wasn't a conflict, but an appointment. The figure's mask glowed with dim crimson lines, shifting like liquid light. Their voice didn't echo, it vibrated. "You are late, Master of Light." And in that moment, Yoda understood. This Sith didn't want war. This Sith wanted clarity. The galaxy was approaching a crossroads, and they intended to test the future itself. Through him. Theory 7. The duel that bent the Force. There are no recordings, no HOLOVIDs, no surviving witnesses, but the Force remembers. Two masters, one ancient, one ageless, clashing with an intensity that warped the air, not with violence, not with fury, but with precision. A duel that felt less like combat and more like conversation. The ground rippled. The sky cracked with threads of blue and red. Their sabers hummed in perfect, counterbalanced dot until the unthinkable happened. The Sith stopped, lowered their blade, and spoke the words that would haunt Yoda for the rest of his life. "Your order will fail, but the one who rises from the ashes will save everything." A prophecy the Jedi never knew existed. A prophecy about a chosen one they couldn't yet imagine. The storm around the two masters began to fade, not because the weather calmed, but because the Force itself paused, as if the galaxy were holding its breath. The masked Sith stood motionless, their blade humming quietly in the dim red glow. Yoda's saber crackled softly in the blue. Missed two destinies, two philosophies. Waiting, the Sith lifted a hand, not in threat, but in invitation, and with a voice that cut through the world like a whisper in a cathedral. They said, "Ask, Master Yoda, for this is the last moment before the future changes." Yoda, steady and unshaken, answered, "Speak the truth." "You will." The masked figure tilted their head. "Then hear it." "You must." The Sith reached to their mask and pressed the center. The crimson lines across it began to reshape, forming a symbol Yoda had only seen once before within an ancient, forbidden holocron. A circle split by two converging lines, the mark of the Veiled Order, a forgotten predecessor to both Jedi and Sith, an order obsessed not with power, not with dominance, but with understanding the endings of things. The Sith's mask glowed brighter. Theory 8. The prophecy hidden inside the mask. Yoda watched as the shifting symbol projected a faint hologram, not an image, but a pattern, a path, a timeline, a future. It flickered like a pulse in the Force, showing a young warrior, with no master, a sky burning over a broken temple, two suns setting over a world of ashes, and a figure surrounded by both blue and red light. The Sith spoke. "Your order will misread destiny. You will look for a warrior of light, but the one who brings balance will rise from darkness first." Yoda's breath softened. A prophecy the Jedi would never accept, because it contradicted everything they believed about the Chosen One. This masked Sith had seen a future the Jedi were blind to, a child born not to purity, but to conflict, a soul shaped not by guidance, but by division, someone who would fall before they could rise. Theory 9. The Sith who didn't choose sides. Yoda's confusion was clear. The dark aura of this figure was unmistakable, and yet their intent was something else entirely. This Sith did not serve the dark side, nor did they serve the light. They served outcomes. They believed the Force was not a path of balance, but a cycle of corrections, and they saw Yoda as a fixed point in that cycle. The Masked One said, "You fear the dark side. You fight it, but you do not listen to it." Yoda frowned deeply. "Listen. One must not to temptation." The Sith replied, "All things speak. Master Yoda, even shadows." Their mask retracted the holographic prophecy. Theory 10. The warning Yoda could not accept. The storm intensified again. Lightning tracing across the clouds like veins of living light. The masked figure stepped closer, the air distorting. "A child will come, born of circumstance, not prophecy, shaped by loss, forged by love, consumed by fear." Yoda could feel the future swirling threads of possibility tightening like a noose. "He will be your greatest hope, and your greatest failure." Yoda's eyes narrowed. "See clearly, you do not. Many futures there are." The Sith shook their head. "There is only one future strong enough to resist extinction." Lightning split the sky. For the first time, the Sith's voice wavered, not with fear, but with urgency. "You must not train him." Yoda felt his heart drop. "Train who?" The masked figure looked up at the raging clouds. "The one who will burn your order to save the galaxy." Theory 11. Why the Sith let Yoda live. The duel should have ended here. Most Sith would strike. Most Sith would kill. But this figure, DIDN, single quotes, T instead. They extinguished their blade, and, with a quiet, steady voice, they said, "You needed to hear this, not to stop the future, but to endure it." Yoda did not understand. Not yet. The Sith stepped backward, fading into the storm as though becoming vapor. Their final words echoed through the tempest. "History will forget me, but you will remember, and when the sky burns, you will know I was right." The storm swallowed them whole. The masked figure vanished forever, and Yoda stood alone, on a world outside of time, holding a prophecy he could never reveal. The journey back from the storm-wrapped world was silent, but not because Yoda wanted silence. The Force itself had become quiet, as if the encounter with the masked Sith had created a wound in reality. A wound that even he, the oldest of the Jedi, could not yet understand. When Yoda's starfighter lifted from the surface, he stared at the fading planet through the viewport. A world that wasn't supposed to exist. A Sith who didn't follow the dark side. A prophecy that contradicted everything the Jedi believed. And above all, a warning directed at him alone. Theory 12. The Council would never believe him. When Yoda returned to Coruscant, the High Council sensed something was wrong. His aura was quieter, he spoke less, and there was a kind of heaviness around him, a weight that other masters could not name. But Yoda said, "Nothing, not about the masked. Sith, not about the prophecy, not about the duel." Why? Because the Council was already drifting toward a dangerous flaw. They believed the dark side had disappeared. They believed the Sith were extinct. They believed peace was proof they were right. They believed the future was theirs to shape. Yoda knew that the Council would reject the masked figure's prophecy instantly, would dismiss the Sith as a hallucination, a trick, a misunderstanding, or worse, they would pursue the prophecy so aggressively thought they would create the very future they feared. Theory 13. The vision Yoda did not share during meditation days later. Yoda experienced something he had never felt before. Not a vision, but a consequence. The Force rippled around him like a shifting memory, showing Jedi marching into Warre Temple, consumed by fire blue sabers clashing with red beneath a bleeding sky, and a young man, tormented and alone, screaming in a room filled with shadows. Yoda understood instantly. The masked Sith had not lied. The Jedi were heading toward a storm, not by fate, not by prophecy, but by their own certainty. Their belief that they could not fail was the very reason they would. And if the Council knew the truth too soon, their panic would accelerate the downfall. So Yoda chose silence, not because he wanted to, but because revealing the truth would shatter the order from the inside. Theory 1. For a secret buried in the archives, Yoda did leave evidence, just not in a way the Jedi would understand. Deep within the Jedi archives is a meditation chamber sealed by a puzzle only Yoda knew. 5 rotating rings symbolizing the states of the Force. Inside it sits an empty pedestal, but beneath that pedestal is a stone inscription carved in Yoda's own hand. The inscription reads, "Fear the one who brings balance, yet hope for him also." No names, no dates, no context, just a riddle for a future master to someday understand. A message meant not for the Jedi of his era, but for the generation after. Theory 15. The choice that haunted him every time Yoda meditated. He felt the masked Sith's presence, not as a threat but as a reminder. The duel replayed in fragments, the crimson mask shifting, the prophecy of the child shaped by loss, the warning, "You must not train him." But destiny is cruel, because 13 years later, a boy with no father, bearing impossible potential, arrived at the temple gates. A boy who radiated both light and shadow. A boy named Anakin Skywalker. And in that moment, the memory of the masked Sith returned in full. Forced at the Council debated, they hesitated, they searched for answers, but Yoda already knew. Not the future, but the burden of the future. He had been warned. He had been told what would happen. He had been given a prophecy he was forbidden to share, and yet he let events unfold, because the masked Sith had said something he could not ignore. You cannot prevent the future, you can only endure it. So Yoda made the most painful decision of his life. He allowed Anakin Skywalker to join the Jedi, not because he believed it would save the Order, but because he knew there was no timeline where rejecting the boy ended well. The masked Sith had not given him a choice. They had given him a truth. When the doors of the council chamber closed on the night, Anakin Skywalker was formally tested. Every Jedi Master struggled to interpret the boy's unusual Force signature. All except Yoda. He recognized it instantly. The turbulence, the raw power, the fear buried just beneath. His small voice, it matched the prophecy the masked Sith had shown him on the Storm World, a prophecy Yoda had sworn to bury. Theory 16. Yoda saw the storm in Anakin, while the other masters debated whether Jedi training would help the child. Yoda quietly sensed the echo of the Sith's words, shaped by loss, forged by love, consumed by fear. And here was Anakin, a child ripped from his mother, begging for belonging, overflowing with attachment. Before he ever held a lightsaber, chronology was too precise, too perfect. Yoda felt his chest tighten. Part of him wanted to reject the boy immediately, not out of fear for the Order, but fear of what the masked Sith had predicted. But the warning had been clear. You cannot prevent the future. So Yoda tried something different, something subtle, something he hoped would shift the current of fate without breaking it. Theory 17. Why Yoda was harder on Anakin than any other Padawan, many fans ask. Why was Yoda so strict with Anakin? Why did he seem distant, even cold? Why did he constantly warn him about fear, attachment, and pain? The answer, according to this hidden encounter, becomes chillingly clear. Yoda wasn't being discouraging. He wasn't being dismissive. He wasn't being unkind. He was trying to counteract the prophecy. Every warning, every lesson, every meditation assignment was designed to reduce the weight of the future the masked Sith had shown him. Yoda wasn't protecting the Order. He was protecting Anakin because he knew the boy would fall hardest where he loved, deepest. And so he tried to prepare him for loss long before the galaxy fell into war. Theory 18. The moment Yoda realized the prophecy was taking shape years later. During the Clone Wars, something changed. Became stronger, so strong that the currents of the Force began to warp around him. His presence radiated both harmony and turbulence, joy and fear, light and shadow, and for the first time since the Storm World, Yoda felt a familiar pressure in the Force, like a memory returning in physical form. The masked Sith's voice echoed in his spine. The one who rises will burn your order. And suddenly, Yoda understood why the Sith had been calm during their duel, why they had no hatred, why they had chosen to speak instead of kill. They had already seen this future, and they knew nothing Yoda could stop it, only endure it. Theory 19. The Council's failure was Yoda's burden. As Anakin grew into a general, a warrior, a leader, the Jedi Council grew more dependent on him. They praised him, they relied on him, they unknowingly accelerated the timeline, and Yoda's silence became a private agony. He couldn't tell Windu the prophecy. He couldn't tell OBI-1. He couldn't tell the Senate. He couldn't tell Anakin to speak. The warning aloud might become self-fulfilling. Hide, it might doom them all. Yoda chose the path the masked Sith predicted. You will endure the storm until the sky burns. Theory 20. Yoda's last attempt to save Anakin near the end of the Clone Wars. Yoda tried one final strategy. He sent Anakin away from missions, from decisions, from the council chamber itself, not out of mistrust, but desperation. Yoda believed that if he could remove Anakin from the center of the conflict, even briefly, he might disrupt the timeline long enough to weaken the prophecy. But events moved faster than he could intervene. Palpatine accelerated his plan. The war deepened. Anakin grew more fearful. Palm became his anchor. Visions consumed him, and the masked Sith's prophecy marched closer with every passing day. Finally, the moment came Yoda had dreaded for years. The future the masked Sith had shown him was unfolding in real time, and Yoda could do nothing but watch. Years passed. The Jedi Temple fell. The Republic collapsed. The Empire rose. Anakin Skywalker, the child Yoda had been warned about, became the very shadow the masked Sith foretold. And Yoda, an old master on a distant swamp, finally confronted the prophecy of his failure, not with fear, not with anger, but with sorrow, because he now understood the truth. The masked Sith had not been predicting the fall of the Jedi. They had been preparing him for it.